Thanks for checking out another clip of the Cashflow Contractor. We'd love to have you as a part of our audience. Click subscribe wherever you get your podcasts.
So let's talk about the last one, which is the most important. And this is a very difficult one. No, it's not the most important. Energy is the most important, but it's a very important one, is priority. And I don't like the word priority because a lot of times priority is arbitrary. And at least they say, oh, this is a high priority. And then I maybe ask about another time, oh, this is really important too. This is a very high priority. It's like, well, okay, so what's a priority, what's not? And I think you have to have some sort of grading system of what's a priority for you and what's not, right?
Well, I like that.
How do you think about priority?
Well, there's a book called The One Thing. I think it's called The One Thing by Gary Keller. Really, really good. Easy read, fun to read. But he makes a point that I've never forgotten. The word priority is Latin and it means first. So you cannot have a bunch of priorities, right?
Yeah.
We didn't have a bunch of teams win the NBA championship this year. One.
Right.
So you have to choose a priority, which where we're getting to address the point that you're asking about. How do you do that? The old 80-20 rule. This is a method that you can use to sit down and prioritize things. There, I use the word, to determine your priorities. You use the 80-20, which says, of course, that 80% of your benefit comes from 20% of the things you do. 80% of your problems come from 20% of customers, for example. But it said write down 25 things that you consider you should do that are important. And you look through those and you select 20%, which is 5. So you X out the other 20 and you've got 5 left. And you look through those 5 things and you say, which one of those is, rank them 1 to 5. The number 1 is your priority. That's your 80-20 again. 1 is 20% of 5. So that's a method, if you're really going, well, how am I supposed to decide? That's a method you can use. Write down the things you do, circle the most important ones, make your first 80% cut, and make your second 80% cut, and you're left with 1. And that's what I do with my clients. And the things that we look through are the 4 areas of business: guiding the business, marketing and sales, getting customers, operations, administration. And we try to determine where are the problems that I mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
Where's our big problem? Is it that we're not getting sales, don't have leads, or we get leads, we don't close them? Is it an operational glitch? We can't deliver on time? Are we running out of cash, which is administrative? Do we have our insurance and all that in order? Do we have leadership? Do we have a good culture? Is my company about to collapse because we're running out of money? Or is it about to collapse because people who work here don't like each other? So you got to look through those things and set that 25 and set the 5 and then set the 1. That's how I do it, at least in theory. I bounce around a little too much. And that's the method that I use working with clients to get them to that one thing. And then that's the thing that they actually have to have done by the next time we meet.
And so you're always choosing one thing that is, I guess you're meeting weekly, or sometimes you meet longer, monthly or biweekly. So you always choose one thing that's capable of being accomplished within that time frame?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah,
Yes.
I think that's important. I think once you start choosing things that are just so ambitious that it's too much to bite off in a specific period of time that is, feasible and you can actually pay attention for, it's too much.
Yeah. Well, it's like if my advice were sell more and be a better leader, and your company will really bloom. See you next week, right?
You should do that sometime.
Oh,
April
I've done
Fools.
it.
Oh, you
I've
have?
done- Oh,
Okay.
yeah. Yeah, they
That's
always
good.
appreciate that. I want my money back.
So I think with priority, the way that I think about it is what's going to make the most impact. And I think this is important conversation to have with a lot of people on your team, because the reality is urgency does not equate to priority. And I think that's where people get things wrong a lot of time. They think about what is most urgent and they say, well, that's the highest priority thing. And if you haven't really talked to your team about this, they may be doing some of the tasks that are just urgent and forgetting about the important. And we've talked about the tyranny of the urgent before, but you have to think about what is going to be the most impactful. And sometimes the urgent thing is the most impactful. Client calls and there's, a broken water line in the middle of the project that you're working on. Yeah, that is a really impactful thing that you should go work on right now. You don't need to have to redo a bunch of stuff because it floods. Right?
Hey, just in passing, because you're talking about urgency, read this a long time ago and think about it a lot, and I believe it's true. Urgency is always imposed from the outside. Now, sorry, just thought I'd mess up your train of thought.
No, that's good. And urgency is always imposed from the outside.
Yeah, it can be a person, like the customer who called, or it can be the water main broke, which is a fact. That's not human. But it's always from the outside. We don't impose urgency on ourselves except to meet some criteria from the outside. Now, I've thought about that a lot. I believe it's true, willing to entertain arguments and discussion, but it's interesting.
I would say 90%. I would say 90%. I think you're having a heart attack. That's technically from the inside. Like your urgency changes.
Yeah.
You're really thirsty or hungry, and you're like, man, I need to get some food.
That's okay, see, I've been thinking about all these years, and you just shot me down. But
so those are some things. I think also an urgency, I would say everything besides those things, maybe health and body related, probably influenced by the outside. Yeah. So.
Yeah. But anyway, you were talking about deciding what's most urgent.
So I was just talking with my assistant the other day, and she had all these tasks, and there was one really important one, like one really impactful one, but it was a project. It wasn't a task. It was going to take some hours, right? And she said, well, because it's going to take so long, I want to get these things done with so that I can focus on that. And I was like, 2 of those things will take you 2 minutes, right? So just do it. These other 3 are like, I don't even think those are that important. Like I almost say, like, don't even do them, right? Like you need to, sometimes we think that not only are the urgent things the most important, but we think about some of these like larger projects that are really impactful. We put them off because they would take so long, right? When sometimes, like, what if you just broke that project into steps? Kind of like, Martin, you meet with people, you're talking about they've got to lead their team. Well, that's like you could spend years working on getting really good at that. But what's one thing that you could do that would allow you to really lead your team well? Oh, I'm going to schedule a team meeting for us because we never meet as a team. Oh, well, you can do that before next week, right? That would be one of the most important things, the most impactful things that you could do, right? Yeah, you're not going to be able to, I've got to get my books together. Well, that could be a months long project. What about, hey, why don't we do a forecast for what cash you have coming in and coming out over the next week? You can do that before we meet, right? Just what's coming in, what's going out. And that would be very impactful. It would give you some clarity on your financial position for the next week or a couple weeks, whatever it is. So I think on the priority, I love the one thing, Gary Keller. I think at a baseline, just asking the question, what would be the most impactful, right? And then the urgent does play a role, right? Especially with like client-related matters or something that's really time specific. Like, you've got to meet specifically with this person at this time. Like that does create urgency. That is important. But there's things that you're taking care of that you shouldn't be working on because it doesn't make sense. It's not the most impactful thing. So we've got this 4 criteria model. We've gone over context, time, energy, and priorities. When you marry all of these things together, right, and you view it through the lens and the filter of, I have all these things in front of me, that should dictate what you should work on. And it should allow you to get things done a lot more tangibly, a lot more efficiently, But if you're only looking through one of these lenses, you're probably going to miss something.
Thanks for checking out a clip from the Cashflow Contractor. We have full episodes where we go deep on topics that help you grow a construction business that runs without you so you can have less stress, more time, more money. Now, we've got other videos, other clips, but if you want to check out the full episode for this clip, you can click wherever our editor put it. It might be here, might be there, might be over my face, I don't know. But thank you for checking us out. We'd love to have you as a part of our audience. So subscribe or check out a full episode wherever you get podcasts.